The Communist Manifesto. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto like they were creating the ultimate employee handbook for overthrowing your boss. Except instead of asking for better coffee in the break room, they're suggesting you seize the entire company. Published in 1848, this slim pamphlet basically argues that all of history is just one long story of rich people fighting poor people. And spoiler alert, the poor people are supposed to win eventually. Marx treats capitalism like that toxic relationship everyone knows you should leave, but somehow keeps dragging on for decades. The manifesto's famous line, "Workers of the world, unite," became the rallying cry for revolutions that toppled governments faster than dominoes, inspiring everything from the Russian Revolution to various Cold War conflicts. The book doesn't just critique capitalism, it provides a step-by-step guide for dismantling the entire economic system and replacing it with something completely different. It's like someone writing a manual on how to renovate your house by burning it down first and then building something entirely new from the ashes. Mein Kampf. Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf is like reading the diary of someone who starts with personal grievances and gradually escalates to planning the destruction of entire groups of people. It's basically a masterclass in how hatred can be systematized and weaponized. Written during Hitler's imprisonment after a failed coup attempt, the book combines autobiography with political ideology, creating a blueprint for fascism that would later devastate Europe. Hitler presents his racist theories as scientific fact, which is like someone claiming their personal prejudices are actually mathematical equations that can't be questioned. The book's danger lies not just in its hateful content, but in how it demonstrates the power of propaganda to transform individual resentment into mass movement. The text became required reading in Nazi Germany, showing how authoritarian regimes use literature as a tool for indoctrination rather than education. It serves as a chilling reminder of how ideas, when combined with political power, can literally reshape societies and justify the most horrific crimes against humanity. The Turner Diaries. William Luther Pierce's The Turner Diaries reads like someone took every conspiracy theory from the darkest corners of the internet and turned them into a fictional revolution manual. The book depicts a race war in America where white supremacists overthrow the government and establish an all-white society through systematic genocide. Pierce writes this dystopian fantasy like it's an instruction manual rather than a cautionary tale, providing detailed scenarios for domestic terrorism and societal collapse. The book has been linked to numerous real-world acts of violence, including the Oklahoma City bombing, making it less of a novel and more of a terrorist recruitment tool disguised as fiction. It's like someone writing a cookbook, except instead of recipes for dinner, they're providing recipes for societal destruction. The danger isn't just in the book's hateful ideology, but in how it normalizes and romanticizes extreme violence as a solution to social problems, turning readers into potential actors in its fictional scenarios. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is like the original fake news story that went viral before the internet existed, except instead of spreading harmlessly through social media, it inspired decades of persecution and genocide. This fabricated document, created by the Russian secret police around 1903, claims to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to control the world through manipulation of governments, media, and financial systems. The text reads like someone took every existing anti-Semitic stereotype and wove them into a single, comprehensive conspiracy theory that could explain any social or economic problem. Despite being thoroughly debunked as a plagiarized forgery, the protocols spread across the globe like a virus, influencing everyone from Henry Ford to Adolf Hitler. The book demonstrates how powerful false narratives can become when they tell people what they want to hear about their problems and give them someone to blame. It's basically the instruction manual for scapegoating entire populations, showing how fictional conspiracies can create very real violence and oppression. The Anarchist Cookbook. William Powell's The Anarchist Cookbook is like that friend who learned how to make explosives from YouTube videos and decided to write a comprehensive guide for anyone interested in creating chaos from household items. Written during the turbulent 1970s as an expression of anti-government sentiment, the book provides detailed instructions for making bombs, weapons, and drugs using materials you could theoretically find at any hardware store. Powell treated civil disobedience like a do-it-yourself project, complete with step-by-step instructions and safety tips for activities that are decidedly unsafe and illegal. The book's danger lies not in its political philosophy, but in its practical application. It's basically a manual for domestic terrorism, disguised as a statement about personal freedom. The irony is that Powell himself later disavowed the book, realizing that providing explosives recipes to angry teenagers might not be the best way to promote social change. It remains available despite being linked to various acts of violence, proving that some ideas are harder to uninvent than they are to spread. The Prince. Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince is like receiving a masterclass in political manipulation from someone who studied every dirty trick in the book and then wrote the book about dirty tricks. Written in 1513, this guide for rulers basically argues that maintaining power justifies any action, no matter how unethical or brutal. Machiavelli treats morality like an optional accessory for leaders. Nice to have if it's convenient, but easily discarded when it gets in the way of effectiveness. The book's central thesis that it's better to be feared than loved became the unofficial motto for dictators throughout history who used Machiavelli's strategies to justify oppression and violence. He writes about deception, betrayal, and cruelty like they're just tools in a political toolkit, which is like someone treating murder as just another problem-solving technique. The Prince doesn't advocate for the destruction of society directly, but it provides the blueprint for leaders who want to destroy democratic norms and concentrate power in their own hands, making it a guidebook for aspiring authoritarians. Atlas Shrugged. Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged is like someone writing a 1,000-page manifesto about why being selfish is actually the most moral thing you can do, then disguising it as a novel about train. Rand creates a world where all the productive, intelligent people decide to go on strike and withdraw from society, causing civilization to collapse until everyone realizes they need to worship successful capitalists. The book treats altruism like a mental illness and presents greed as a virtue, which is like someone arguing that the best way to have a healthy relationship is to only think about yourself. Rand's philosophy of objectivism has influenced everyone from politicians to tech billionaires, creating a worldview where helping others is seen as weakness and social cooperation is viewed as oppression. The danger isn't that the book will cause immediate societal collapse, but that it provides intellectual justification for dismantling social safety nets and public institutions. It's basically a philosophical argument for why society would be better if we all acted like sociopaths with advanced degrees in economic, industrial society and its future. Theodore Kaczynski's manifesto, also known as the Unabomber Manifesto, reads like a philosophy professor's critique of modern technology, mixed with a survivalist's guide to societal collapse. Kaczynski argues that technological progress is destroying human freedom and dignity, and that industrial civilization must be dismantled to save humanity from itself. He writes like someone who's thought very deeply about the problems of modernity, but arrived at the most extreme possible solution, basically suggesting we solve our technology problems by abandoning technology entirely. The manifesto gained widespread attention because Kaczynski demanded its publication in exchange for ending his bombing campaign against scientists and technologists. His ideas about technology's dehumanizing effects resonated with many people, which is terrifying because his solution involved literal terrorism. It's like reading a book review that concludes, "This story is so bad we should burn down all the library." The critique might have valid points, but the proposed solution is completely insane. The Camp of the Saints. Jean Raspail's The Camp of the Saints is like someone taking current immigration anxieties and turning them into a dystopian nightmare where Western civilization collapses under the weight of mass migration from developing countries. Published in 1973, the novel depicts hordes of refugees sailing from India to France, overwhelming European society and destroying Western culture through sheer numbers. Raspail writes like someone who looked at immigration statistics and decided the only possible outcome was complete civilizational collapse. The book presents a deeply racist vision of cultural conflict, portraying migrants as an invading force rather than people seeking better lives. It has been embraced by white nationalist movements and cited by politicians opposed to immigration, demonstrating how fictional scenarios can shape real-world policy debate. The novel doesn't just express concerns about immigration, it presents a framework for viewing demographic change as an existential threat that justifies extreme measures to preserve cultural purity. Siege. James Mason's Siege is like someone took every failed revolutionary movement in history and created a how-to guide for accelerating societal collapse through random acts of violence. The book compiles Mason's writings from the 1980s advocating for leaderless resistance and lone wolf terrorism as strategies for bringing down the current social order. Mason treats terrorism like a form of political communication, arguing that spectacular acts of violence can inspire others to join a revolutionary movement. The book has become influential among accelerationist groups who believe society must be destroyed before it can be rebuilt according to their extremist vision. It's like someone writing a manual for starting forest fires because they think the ecosystem needs to be completely burned down and regrown. The danger lies in how the book provides both ideological justification and practical guidance for individuals who want to commit acts of terrorism, turning political frustration into actionable violence. The Bell Curve. Charles Murray and Richard Herrnstein's The Bell Curve presents itself as scientific research about intelligence differences between racial groups, but it's actually like someone using statistics to justify centuries of racist assumptions about human worth. The book argues that intelligence differences between races are partly genetic and largely unchangeable, which provides pseudoscientific cover for policies that perpetuate racial inequality. The authors treat IQ tests like they're measuring something fundamental about human nature, rather than specific cultural knowledge and educational opportunity. The book's danger lies in how it wraps racist conclusions in academic language, making discrimination seem like rational policy based on scientific evidence. It has been used to justify everything from reducing social programs to opposing affirmative action, showing how supposedly objective research can be weaponized to maintain existing power structure. The Bell Curve demonstrates how academic credentials and statistical analysis can be used to make harmful ideologies seem respectable and inevitable, rather than chosen and changeable.